welcome to my studio. This is Shop with Sally, and on this episode I will be discussing the underdog of the wardrobe basics, known as the belt. So, with belts are really important to have in your wardrobe because number one, they keep your pants up. So that's always an important thing. But to me, belts are important because they always give a nice luxury finishing touch to an outfit. It's where you can invigorate an outfit with the touch of extra styling that doesn't necessarily look fussy and can bring an outfit to a whole nother level of thoughtfulness and like, hey, this is me, this is my style, and whatever. The other thing I love about belts too is that for me, whenever a dress might need a little extra something, or I'm the kind of girl, because I'm a very rounded figure, it's better for me to accentuate my waist. So it's always been really important for me to have several different good quality belts in my wardrobe. So as far as the essentials go, I would definitely start with having a nice quality leather black belt and a nice quality leather brown belt. So I have this belt from Hermes that I got a couple years ago. It's one of my favorite belts of all time, and Hermes has lots of different belts like this. Obviously, this is for making an investment. That the thing is about these belts, though, you'll have them for the rest of your life. If anything happens to them, they get damaged, they'll totally fix the leather. Hermes is really amazing like that. You know, and then also they have belt buckles for these things that are a little more, or I should say a little less ostentatious than something like this. The other great thing about this belt is it is reversible. So one side is black leather, the other side is a chocolate brown leather. I don't know if you can see because of the lighting, I know it's kind of, but it's a really beautiful chocolate brown grain leather on the other side. And you can remove the buckle and do a different buckle on this belt if you want to buy like a different, because they have lots of different buckle options there at Hermes. And the other good thing too is you can make this a hip belt where you wear it lower towards your hips, or you can make it a waist belt by punching holes further down. A leather hole puncher is a really good thing to have in your wardrobe too. I'll put one of the links down below for those. And that way you can make this belt super, you know, flexible for whatever you need for your outfit. So I love this belt because it shows a little bit of my kind of more edgy, punky side, I would say, with this kind of me-door, you know, they're studded, slightly S&M, like door knocker, you know, almost like a dog leash collar vibe. I love this belt. It's my favorite classic belt that I go to when I need a belt. If for some reason gold isn't really going to work with my wardrobe, the other belts that I rely on, that I have tons of, are my Leatherman belts. Now this is like a classic, you know, chrome buckle, super simple, small square, so it's not going to call too much attention. I like this because it's quite masculine vibe. I actually got this at a store on Christopher Street in New York called the Leatherman. The Leatherman specializes in leather daddy outfits for gay men. So going into the store is a little aggressive. If you live in New York, I do highly recommend it because they do the most amazing leather, and this belt is about $32.99. So that's a really great price for incredible leather. I like that the leather has like a nice minimal grain to it, you know, very clean finish. I like the masculine, and they have these in all sizes. Like this size is a 30. I wear it more towards my waist. And then they have, you know, up to like 40 something as far as, you know, if you want to get like a hip belt. So I have 3 or 4 of these. I have ones that fit perfectly at my waist, and I have ones that fit lower towards my hip. I also like these because they come in various sizes. I like this size because it's not too skinny and it's not too big. It'll still fit through the belt loops on my jeans or my trousers. So to me, that's also really important. And sometimes dresses have those little string belt holders. This will also fit through those too. So I highly recommend. I know Brooks Brothers also has really great belt options. H&M always has clean, good belt options at a really good price. So I always recommend that. Like again, I would recommend getting something like this with a silver buckle in black and in brown. Because sometimes if you have on colors that don't necessarily go with black, or if your shoes are more of a brown leather, if you're not wearing a black shoe, it's just nice to have a brown, and then even like a lighter tan option can be really nice as well. So as far as basics, brown, black leather, hip version, waist version, and gold and silver depending on what kind of jewelry or what kind of hardware you usually have on your clothes. People tend to go one or the other. I like both. I tend to mix both. But yeah, sometimes I just prefer silver. Again, the thing I like about these belts is they have a masculine vibe. So if I'm wearing a super feminine dress that needs a waist added to it, or it has like a waist seam and I just want to give it a little bit more hardness because I'm wearing black leather boots or something like that, these belts are incredible for adding onto a dress just in the waist area. Now, the other kind of waist belt that exists that I really like are for more of the kind of sexy vibe girls or the more preppy girls, but more as like the more sexy and glamorous girl who wears maybe more bodycon things. And sometimes when you're wearing bodycon, it's nice to mix it up and add something to the waist. This is also for if you have a nice like little floaty dresses that maybe have a seam around the waist. I love this. I have this gigantic bow belt that goes directly around the waist. I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but this thing is awesome. This is 10 years old, so it's starting to fall apart a little bit, but it's a black leather python. It's old vintage Chloe, and I freaking love this waist belt. It's fun to have pieces like this. This was obviously an investment piece because it was a Chloe piece, but at the same time, there are great options similar to this. There's a lot of Alaya knockoffs. Alaya does incredible waist belts as well that are super sexy. Those belts, they make really good knockoffs. I'll find some and put some here. They're good for, you know, adding that sexier vibe to if you're, you know, wearing a shirt and a skirt or top, I don't know. It's not really so good with trousers. Maybe if you're wearing a tight, like, legging style trouser, it's good, but I don't know. I prefer it more with dresses. So I'll put some options of those here as well. And then when you're shopping for belts, the other thing to think about is like, what is your style? Like if you're a preppy person, I would look at braided leather. I have loads of braided leather in my kit for when I'm doing more preppy style shoots. Those braided leather belts, like very kind of Ralph Lauren, very almost Western, but still, I don't know, like I said, prep, like we've been doing the past week here on Shop with Sally. Prep, you can always get great cotton braided belts. You can always get great leather and suede braided belts. There are great options of those. I'll put those here. Also, if you're more of a rock and roll kind of edgy style girl, the studded belts are always great. I have a patent leather one. And patent leather is always good too if you're more of a rock and roll or a glamorous girl. YSL for years and years and years has been doing a larger waist belt that has a really pretty round buckle. I'll put some options for that here. Those are good for the sexier, more glamour girl. And then if you're more of the bohemian, there are great like leather waist hip belts that are more tie belts, like, you know, fringy, kind of suede, more organic, feels a little bit more Native American or ethnic-ish. I'll put some of those here too. And also for bohemian, you sometimes having chain belts and metal belts that ride lower, that usually doesn't go around the hip. It's usually something that rides lower down, it doesn't go around your waist. It rides lower down around your hips. Those belts are great to have if you have more of a bohemian style in your wardrobe. So those are my recommendations on belts. I think it's always good to make sure you're covered in, and then also skinny belts. If you're a preppy girl, again, skinny belts are kind of good options if you like to throw belts a lot on top of dresses. It's also more of a classic glamour. Skinny belts are always good to have. I think medium to thick, like these guys, are always good to have. Super thick are hard unless you're just using it as waist belt. I don't recommend super thick unless you're just doing waist belts where you're putting it on top of clothes that don't necessarily have belt loops, because the thicker belts rarely go through belt loops that already exist on clothes. So yeah, so those are my recommendations on belts. Definitely make sure to get whatever fits into your personal style, and don't be scared to play around. As far as doing hip belt placement, I would definitely do it on top of dresses where there are no belt loops or anything like that involved. I think that also, you know, it's always fun to play with the waist belts over dresses if they have belt loops or not, because you can cover them if you're using one of the wider belts. I think it's always great if you're wearing a trouser with belt loops to have a belt on. I think it looks like you completed and finished your look. Also, my other favorite thing to do is over a bigger men's jacket or kind of like army style jacket to do a fantastic belt, kind of like this, you know, where you really go in and you cinch it. So doing something that is a more long, you know, this line on top of your, I know this looks crazy on top of a sweatshirt. I kind of like it. I don't know. It's crazy. It's fun. But, you know, doing something that'll just kind of give a waist to something that's quite masculine and tomboyish. It's nice too. And also I love when you have like a big scarf. Here, I have my big blanket here. When you have a big scarf and it's over a huge jacket, I love the idea of taking the belt around the back and just belting your scarf. Again, these are kind of wintry concepts, so I know that we're not really necessarily in the same time, but hey, this is stuff that's timeless, so you can apply it whenever. I love doing things like this. The belt would need to be a little bit, but it helps keep your scarf in place, especially if you live in a super cold, windy spot. I love doing something like this for winter, or over a bigger men's jacket. Also, I love belting a blazer. That's super fun too. So play around with your belts. Just remember to have lots of good classic options in your wardrobe. I'll put my favorite options for each of the styles here, and just classic, simple ones that I recommend for your wardrobe at both a luxury and an affordable price. And yeah, guys, let me know if there's any questions about belts, and I will answer them here. So make sure you have good belts in your wardrobe. They're super important. They're the underdog of the wardrobe. Nobody talks about them, but we're talking about them now. So embrace the belt. Have fun, enjoy shopping and styling.